Hello, I'm Lieutenant Scott Shosted. I oversee traffic operations for the Wellesley Police Department, and I'm the chair of the town's traffic committee, which is comprised of employees from the police department, the Department of Public Works, the Wellesley Municipal Light Plant, the Board of Selectmen's office, and the town's on-call traffic engineering consultants. For years, the Great Plain Ave Rotary, as it is known, has existed using a traffic pattern that is contrary to currently accepted rotary design. In studying the intersection, the police department and the traffic committee became aware that not only is the traffic pattern at odds with current acceptable designs, it is also one of the largest sources of traffic collisions in the town of Wellesley. The intersection is a host of 15 to 17 crashes a year, the majority of which are angular collisions, the most dangerous kind. Due to the high crash frequency, the severity of crash type, and the inherent flaws with the current traffic pattern, the traffic committee concluded that this was a priority location to redesign or reconstruct. The DPW agreed with the traffic committee's assessment and agreed to realign a 5-year plan, pushing back the reconstruction of Walnut Street in order to prioritize the reconstruction of this intersection. With the approval of the Board of Selectmen, the traffic committee hired VHB to develop and manage the design phase of this project. With input from the design team and residents attending public meetings, it was further determined that incorporating a shared use path and sidewalk extending from the new roundabout design to Brook Street would further benefit multiple modes of travel and the overall project. This sidewalk extension was then incorporated into the overall design concept. The DPW engineering department was able to secure FY20 MassDOT funding to cover the cost of the design. The design phase is now complete. Dave Hickey, the town engineer, and Tracy Lenhart from VHB will now walk you through the project.
Thank you, Scott. Hello, I'm Tracy Lenhart, a senior project manager at the consulting firm of VHB. As shown on the Locus Map, the Great Plain Ave at Wellesley Ave intersection is centrally located in Wellesley, just south of high school via Sidewalk, east of Town Hall, and just west of Babson College. The existing intersection is generally circular in nature, but is confusing traffic control that has led to safety issues that Lieutenant Shosted mentioned in his introduction. In 2017, the town hired VHB to study the intersection operations and safety conditions at this location and develop some conceptual improvements to address the issues. The Wellesley Police Department identified this location as problematic location and engaged the services of VHB to study the intersection. The study identified over 90 crashes over 6 years, mostly related to the unexpected stop control within the circulating portion of the intersection. This also leads to queuing and delays from the stop control on Wellesley Ave. There is also confusion for the drivers regarding the vehicular right-of-way at the Wellesley Avenue at Seaver Street Junction. These findings, along with 2 conceptual improvement options, were presented at multiple public meetings in 2018. The 2 options that were presented were a traffic signal and a roundabout concept. The traffic signal concept consolidates the multiple intersections into a single 4-legged intersection controlled by a traffic signal. This all works within the existing right-of-way. The traffic signal concept would provide improved control pedestrian accommodations, but has substantial impact to the central landscape island. Traffic signal design also resulted in increased delays on Wellesley Avenue eastbound and Great Plain Ave northbound. The roundabout concept retains much of the existing traffic circle and works within the existing right-of-way. The concept provides improved control pedestrian and bicycle accommodations throughout the intersection. The major difference between this design and the existing conditions is that all entering vehicles must yield to circulating vehicles, which is unlike the unexpected stop today. Each of the 4 legs are also incorporated into the circle. Seaver Street and Wellesley Ave were brought into the circle. The roundabout will reduce the speeds and clarifies the vehicle right-of-way, both contributing to improved safety. This concept would not have a signal equipment to install, power, or maintain. Statistics have also shown that roundabout intersections typically operate safer than signalized locations. Based on the study and recommendations and overwhelming support of the public meetings, the roundabout option was selected for the as the preferred option and move forward with the design. During the public outreach, the idea of the sidewalk and the bike lanes connecting to the other neighborhoods was also expressed, as Lieutenant Shosted mentioned earlier. This is a simulation of the roundabout design that was presented to the public in 2018. It shows how all the legs would be brought into the circle and that the vehicles entering must yield to the vehicles in the roundabout. Since the concept, we refined the geometric design and have prepared plans that are ready for construction. I will touch on a few of the highlights regarding the improvements for pedestrian and bicyclists. There are crosswalks at all 4 of the intersecting legs, ADA compliant wheelchair ramps. There's a 8-foot shared use path all around the circle. Landscaping, we are replacing many of the landscaping elements and trees that have been removed for this new design. We're working with the town to give the intersection adequate lighting for people to cross safely at night. The project highlights. This improves the safety issues that were identified earlier for the unconventional intersection geometry. There's also some minor drainage improvements. Great Plain Ave sidewalk. As part of the concept stage that moved forward, it was evident that sidewalk was requested all the way through to Brook Street. So we incorporated this into the design. The 8-foot shared use path will split to a 5-foot on-road bike lane and a 5-foot sidewalk on each side of the roadway. This includes the inclusions of complete street standards incorporated into the design, which is eligible, and Dave will talk about that in a little bit. There are also 5-foot bike lanes on each side of the road. It's a vital connection to all the neighborhoods. It is very rare to find a project that can improve safety, provide complete streets for all users, new sidewalk connections while reducing the overall impervious area. We gave this road a road diet. In the Brook Street sidewalk. So the proposed sidewalks on Great Plain Ave, we extended these to complete a loop between Great Plain and Fuller Brook Road. This provides a connection from the schools to the Fuller Brook neighborhood. We also enlarged the island on Brook Street, which will be able to provide a walkway, which will be a safer crossing of Brook Street. We were able to keep the tree at this location also. The reconfigured island will help channelize the traffic on Great Plain Ave, which should allow for better merging conditions from Brook Street. And with that, I will hand it over to Dave.
Great, thank you for that, Tracy. So this is Dave Hickey, your town engineer. We're nearing the conclusion of this presentation, but importantly, we need to talk about budget. The DPW originally estimated this budget at $1.75 million. However, as the plans advanced, and we concluded that this budget would be insufficient to address all of the needs. In particular, costs associated with drainage after we assessed it, with safe lighting, and with compliance goals in the Complete Streets program that Tracy talked about. We're all undervalued in our original budget. In the end, this project requires about $200,000 in drainage improvements, about $140,000 in street lighting, which is necessitated by the new alignment, and about $150,000 in new multi-use paths, as well as $30,000 in signs and striping and other pavement markings to make the project safe for all users. Please note that the lights that are out there are not increased in this project, and that the LED fixtures that are used will also be used in this design. The new lighting design is really about carefully focusing the lights so that vehicles entering the intersection can clearly see the new alignment. And as Tracy mentioned, pedestrian or bike users in the crosswalk are adequately lit. I also think the link to the Brook Street neighborhood was something that was talked about during the town's Complete Streets project and was ranked the highest in our prioritization plan. That's what makes it eligible for up to $400,000 in Mass DOT grant funding. Based on the engineering estimates in this project, there are over $430,000 in Complete Streets components that would be eligible making us potentially eligible for a maximum grant. It is important to know that this grant process will be highly competitive, and this will be Wellesley's first application. It is also important to know that because of the COVID crisis, the grants have been delayed. They won't be announced until sometime after July. So at this point, we don't know if we'll be able to secure a grant, but we have begun the process of applying. And if we are successful, the amount of money required for the project will be reduced by that grant. On to schedule. So with the later town meeting schedule and the anticipated project start will also be delayed. And unfortunately, this will push some of the phases of the work beyond our traditional summertime construction season. It is our expectation that work will start in mid to late July, and it will take about 2 to 3 months to complete. While we normally try to limit impacts and duration of road construction like this to be done prior to the start of school, it's unavoidable for this project. However, the project specifications will require that roads remain open and passable, other than brief periods such as utility crossings, or certainly during the final pavement operation. Further, a detailed traffic management plan that outlines the phase of the realigning of the roundabout must be provided by the contractor and approved by the town. While it's not ideal that the construction will go into the fall, we do hope that as one of the reduced traffic that we're seeing in this COVID phase, we have an opportunity that we otherwise might not have to be able to continue to work in the fall and still not have any significant impacts on traffic congestion. Clearly, the project will have to coordinate closely with public safety, schools, and the abutters, and the general public to manage the construction. Finally, as Scott and Tracy and I put this video together, we tried to capture the process that the town's been through over the last 3 or so years. We wanted to share with you the key decisions and the important project details. However, we recognize that the format of this presentation doesn't afford normal questions and answers that typically would be allowed. So we wanted to at least list a few of the common questions associated with construction in general.
So I'll ask a couple of questions of Dave. What are the hours of work and how might this project affect the traffic patterns?
So the project specifications dictate traditional construction hours of 7 to 5, Monday through Friday, with occasional Saturday work. The project documents also allow Sunday and night work, but that it will require special permission and will be shared with the public in advance. Nights and weekends really are not expected for the project, other than final pavement or during key lane shifts between the new and the old alignment. And the existing traffic patterns will be maintained during the project to the extent possible.
Does the project anticipate more pedestrian and bicycle uses and future changes to Great Plain Ave?
We certainly hope this will be the case, and it was a comment that we heard both during the public hearings for this project and our Complete Streets project. So we've designed this with the idea that hopefully it will begin a larger discussion about pedestrian corridors in Wellesley and safe routes to school and additional bike lanes, both in this area and in other areas. We believe that the infrastructure that will be installed with this project is easily scaled up and linked to broader initiatives.
What is the project eligible for grant funding?
So MassDOT has a Complete Streets program. As I mentioned, it is competitive and communities can apply for up to $400,000 per year. We think this project is a great fit for that in that it provides it solves a missing link. We have gone through the Complete Streets process and the town is eligible for these grants, and we have begun the application process. And we hope to hear back this summer and report back to you a success story in our grant application.
Will there be detours and road closures?
Yes, we do expect some partial detours during final pavement, as well as, although we expect that will likely be off hours, it will be somewhat brief in duration, hopefully less than 6 hours. And it will likely be done at night. Otherwise, the lane reductions in the shifts will be accomplished by the police officers, who will be out there and available to assist the public if needed. So as we close this, thank you for that, Tracy. As we close this presentation, we want to thank you for your consideration on what we see as a really important safety improvement project that evolved and included the feedback of neighbors and others, as well as a real unique opportunity to expand the options for walkers, for riders, and to better link a section of the town that is not currently connected. And to do all that, as Tracy mentioned, in a way that reduced imperviousness and improves the quality of stormwater. We thank you very much and look forward to any questions.